This is me. This photograph of me and Rose was took probably just after we were married. I'm Michael John Andrews, and I've been involved with the club since I was about 5 years of age, and I've lived in the village all my life.
The Fownhope Heart of Oak Club Walk is a rural tradition that has been going on since 1867.
To me, the club walk is like Christmas. It's my Christmas.
Yes, it was always a big day, a grand day.
I can't remember life without Club Walk, and it just seemed the most amazing day when you were a child. It still seems brilliant now as an adult. Just the amount of noise and the amount of colour in the village seemed utterly brilliant. And when I went to university and left Herefordshire, I remember describing it to friends there who thought we were totally bonkers. That was the first time I became aware perhaps of the heritage of it and that how it could appear quite pagan to some people, you know, the Green Man links. But at the time it just seemed normal. Surely every village has a club walk. Surely every village has a Heart of Oak society. And it's not until you grow up that you realise that they don't.
Originally, the Heart of Oak Society provided a form of insurance to its members, who were primarily agricultural workers. In return for a regular subscription, the society would pay members a small amount of money if they fell upon hard times. This was vitally important in the days before Social Security or the NHS.
All right. Yeah.
One of the traditions which has been maintained is the leading of the procession with an oak bough, which has to be cut at sunrise on the morning of the walk.
Yeah, well done.
Heavy?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we all like
That'll
it.
be all right.
I've been cutting the oak bough since 17 years of age.
I'm very mindful of Mike's got to carry it, and if he doesn't feel up to it, he's going to point at me and I'm going to have to carry it. So.
I used to think nothing of it years ago. I'm struggling now, I'll tell you more, than what I was then. But see how things goes, and I want to carry on as long as I can.
I've been to the club walk pretty much every year, I think. Sort of the last 10 years I've been coming down with Grandad and finding the tree and helping him decorate it, and then help do my stick as well. Sort of been dragged into it from an early age, but I love it. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Absolutely love it.
Good job you're tall, Vicky.
I used to be taller than her at one time, though. I think she's caught me out.
I'm shrinking, Mike.
I must be.
When you're quite short, when you're growing as a child, everything seems huge. And Mike Andrews would bring this oak down. Now as an adult I realise it's not fully grown, but as a child I really thought it was a huge tree from the forest.
The oak bough is followed by the club banner, and then by members carrying sticks decorated with flowers.
Well, the traditional club walk is that it's done on the nearest Saturday to Oak Apple Day. I couldn't find an oak apple yesterday, but I did find a bit of oak. So we'll go with that. I've got a hole there, so we'll put a bit more in there.
Lord, he kept turning the stick all the time. And while you're turning the stick, you're tightening the flowers up all the time.
I do grow quite a lot of flowers, but some years are better than others. Depends on weather conditions. This year, this is out lovely. In times gone past, lilac was a big thing in a club walk stick. But over the last few years, lilac seems to have been over before club walk starts, and the same with peonies. The dark red peonies are already over.
My father has been in it for years. He's 90 now. My mother always makes his stick. My son walks on the club walk, and my daughter does as well, and her husband, and my husband.
Everybody believes that the members dress their own sticks, but I think there's quite a few that are dressed by the wives of members. But personally, no, I've always dressed my own stick.
So there we go, one club walk stick, and it seems quite firm, so there we go.
The first thing that I would hear would be the sound of people talking here in this car park, and men seemed to come from everywhere, and they were wearing what I guess would be probably for some of them their only suit. I can remember some of them were quite ill-fitted, you know, buttons bursting a little bit, and they'd all be gathering here.
Always dressed in a suit. I still wear a suit now, but it's got now, as a lot of people don't wear suits. But all the men, when it used to be only the men, everyone was in suits. And I remember when I was a little boy, my mother used to have to make me very smart, because I used to have a new pair of sandals or shoes, especially for the club walk. This is me when I was about 6 or 7. Outside the Green Man, we used to wait to start.
My first club walk as a real juvenile and a youngster of sort of 5 years old. The excitement in the house, getting everything ready for me, but then the petrified state I was in, having to find somebody to walk with, because John Hardwick was too young to be a member, and he was my best friend. And I remember all the tall people there. They were all a lot taller than me. I was a shorty, dwarfed by them. And being the youngest member on the day.
The seniors walked the front of the parade, and when it came down to the young men and the boys, you were very much in your place. So when I went to my first walk, I would be right at the end, you know, right at the back. And as you got a little bit older and younger ones came in, you'd move up a bit. And of course that was always much better to get from the back. When you're a little youngster, it's a long way, and feet would be dragging a little bit by the time you got back to the village.
Well, at the club walk, girls weren't allowed to join the society. They weren't allowed to walk, which was incredibly frustrating, because that's all I wanted to do was join in. And so the start of the day really was listening for the sound of that band coming up the road. And as soon as you heard the sound of the band, it was so exciting. I remember going and knocking on the kitchen window and saying, you know, Mum, they're coming, you know. And then because our garden overlooked the church, we when we were younger, stood in the garden and overlooked the hedge, watched the parade come past, watched them go into church.
And I just remember thinking, when I was about 7 or 8, well, why can't I do that? My brother wasn't that bothered, and I really wanted to do it. And then one particular year, I don't remember if Johnny, my brother, actually did come as well, but I remember Mum doing a stick for him, and I said, well, can I go as well? So she did a second stick. And then walking downstairs and saying to Mum and Dad, well, can I go? And they said, well, just go and ask and pay your 50p, and if they say no, well, you'll just have to go at the back. So I walked into the car park here, and I remember that the man seemed quite grumpy. He might not have been, I might have been because I was a child. Walking up and giving him my money and just joining in. Now, at the time, I was a real tomboy, so it might have been that he didn't realise that I was a girl. But yeah, and I just walked with a stick, didn't think anything of it. And now looking back, well, I don't know how many other women did it or how many other girls did it, but yeah, it just seemed right that I could join in.
So it makes me laugh thinking about how Derek would have approached certain challenges that we kind of got through today. One was, which I think the whole team, including the film team, had, was actually you think, well, everybody's carrying these sticks and everybody's like this heavy oak, a mic at the front with a heavy oak, and then there's the banner and you think, well, okay, this has got to be quite a slow procession. And it's not. They're running at it. No, they're not running, but they walk fast and marching. And that is actually quite a challenge to any film crew or photographer.
I just carry the camera, carry my stick, we'd parade. I used to enjoy taking photographs of friends, and I might get a shot of the group.
My name is Roland Clark. I'm known to the majority of people as Rolly. Grandfather had one son who, like his father and his grandfather, joined the club parade as a young man. He got called up in service in the Second World War and unfortunately got killed in 1942. Being a very close-knit family, it hit Grandfather really hard. And he, I'm sure, found solace really in the club, because to keep it going, it was, I think, his connection with the son that he'd lost. Today is the first time I've carried a banner with my son, John. It's the first time Tom and Emily have been on the strings with us. So it's really is a proud day for me. Really is.
The members process to the church, where a service is held. And then they regroup in the churchyard for drinks, music, and the judging of Junior Best Dressed Stick Award.
Girls and boys, it's time to judge the stick, junior stick. Any more. Juniors with sticks to be judged.
This is the stick that I carry. Was carried by my grandfather on the occasions when he wasn't carrying a banner. The other stick that we've got here is the juvenile stick that the youngsters compete for. This year my grandson won it, who's 5, and I had the very proud experience of seeing it handed over by my granddaughter, who won it the previous year, who's age 9, and she's won it twice in those 9 years, so I'm really pleased about that. As a child, I had an inspiring sort of character who was a friend of my grandfather's, who took part in the walk, and this guy's name was Henry, and we all knew him as Harry Jauncey. And he was my inspiration, this guy, because as a small child I can always remember looking in awe at this creation he carried, and ever since I've always tried to grow stuff to almost compete with that vision that I've always held about this old boy stick. Yeah.
Then they're off again. And they proceed to visit 2 gardens along the way for more drinks and conviviality.
Hooray! Well done!
And the judging of the seniors' stick.
Memories of those days was fruitcake and pop as a child, and the men had beer and bread and cheese probably.
They really did enter into the swing of things, because I say it was their, very often, it was their one day of the year to really let their hair down.
the new inn used to be packed with men, and they'd be lying on the side of the everywhere, you know, quite drunk, but there was never really any trouble or anything like that.
There is a lot of drinking. It's not so much nowadays as it used to be, because I was the one what drank the most drink in a day, which was recorded in the old club walk. From 10 in the morning till 12 at night, 42 pints.
As a child, it was the most amazing day, because when you got to a little bit older, perhaps 10, 11, 12, you would walk around and try and get the dregs of the glasses that had been left, because you go to 3 or 4 homes and they have some alcohol there and people can drink. And friends got quite drunk, I think, when we were about 13.
And they finally gather together for a fete with a pig roast and some sports and games. Many of the villagers want the tradition to continue.
I don't know how much longer I'll be able to walk. I don't know how far I'll walk tomorrow, because the walking doesn't come as easy as it used to. Like going back to my early days when I was 5, probably 5 or 6, it's probably find it harder to walk now than then. But no, it is a very important day of the year to the village and to me and to my family, very much so.
As time goes by, because we all lead busy lives, and there's a small group of us that sort of spend a lot of time and effort maintaining this, and I'll try my hardest to do it. I've got a granddaughter which thinks it's one of her favourite days of the year, and when you hear that coming from an 8-year-old girl, little granddaughter, it's just, how can you not try and keep it going? It's just phenomenal. So I'll do my best for her if nobody else.
The important role it plays now isn't so much in providing a bag of coal for somebody who can't afford it. It's about the community, and it's about the things that happen together in the community, and it's about creating and sustaining community life.
You know, a lot of these people have come back to Fownhope to actually take part in this, so they live away but they come back. So it stabilises communities. So I think as a documentary photographer, you know, I think that's the heart of what Derek was about, was people and cementing people together. And that's what documentary photography is about people and observing how people interact with each other and the love people have for each other.
Old saying in Fownhope, if you've dipped your feet in the Tanner's Brook, you'll always return.